A very important part of fishing concerns safety and fishing safely. Conservative fishing methods can and will enable pike to be preserved as a species and for future generations of anglers too. In this chapter, we look at various methods to fishing safely, from examples of dangerous boating and the launching of a boat, to capture and release methods with piking legend Mick Brown.
Firstly, I think anyone who fishes loves fish, and I hope they do, and therefore, if you're fishing and catching beautiful fish, then you want to put them back in the water in absolute perfect condition. I think you also, you owe it to the pike. You've had this beautiful pike, you've caught it. Why damage it in any way? So conservation, firstly, is about you and looking after the fish. The right sort of tackle. If you do not have the right tackle, say for instance you're using a very light line and you strike into a fish and the line snaps, you have left the hooks in that fish, and that could actually stitch the fish up in such a way that it couldn't feed, that fish might die. So it's about having right tackle. Weigh slings, landing nets, the right line, the right hooks, barbless hooks. If most people prefer barbless. If you use barbs, don't use too big a hooks. As we fish these waters, some waters got loads of pike in them, but there's other waters, and a lot of waters in Norfolk, that are actually going through a period of very few fish. There might be big fish, but very few fish. The pyramid that we all talk about, the pyramid and the balance of biomass has all gone wrong. And some of that is caused through pike dying, through bad handling, might be caused through salt surges, all these different factors. But every single pike that dies through bad handling is one less pike for other people to catch. If that's a female fish that might be full of eggs because it's sort of getting near the spawning time, that fish dies, it's actually the future that's in jeopardy. So every single time we fish, we have to think about the fish first and our actual success second. And I think that's the important thing about conservation, is looking after the fish for ourselves, for future generations, but purely just for the fish themselves as well.
Well, there was a case in point. I just noticed the bobbin lift very slightly on my left-hand rod, and this is something you must do. If you've any doubts that you've got to run, you've got to go straight to the rod and check. Yeah, it's only moved an inch. It didn't even have a chance to set the alarm off. The reason the alarm didn't go off, because it's very windy, I've increased, or rather reduced, the sensitivity on, so that I need 2 inches of movement on the line before the alarm sounds. If I wanted more sensitivity, I can set the alarm so that it sounds with only ½ an inch of movement of the line. As you can see here, the banks are quite rough really. So I'm getting right down to the water so the pike doesn't have to come anywhere near all this mud and stone. It's only a small one, but I'm going to net it all the same. And it's safely in the net. And there you can see one of the problems with this type of net. The pike can twist in the net. Now, it would have been very easy for us not to show the fact that the pike is tangled in the net, but we've all got to face up to the fact that these things can happen, and you've got to know how to deal with it. Well, my forceps are there in my pocket. I haven't got to go looking for them. I've put the net down on a padded mat so the pike will come to no harm. You wouldn't want it going on these stones and all that mud. And I'm just going to take my time and just see what's happened. It's twisted round, but I've managed to get my hand round the back of its neck. I've got a good grip on the jaw. I can see where the hook is. But it's come out now. Now, regardless of the size of the fish, what I would do is get the net out of the way, put it on the mat. If it was a big fish and I was on my own, I would have my camera already set up. I've got a remote control where I can just turn the camera on. I can actually hold the fish up, get a picture, put it down. I can move it across to my weight sling. If I'm interested in the weight, I can slip it straight in the sling. I don't think we'll bother weighing this one, but scales are to hand. Hoist it on the scales, 29 pounds I wish. I've got my photo, so I'll wrap it up. I'm now going over this rough ground, so I'm keeping the fish wrapped up in the sling. There's no chance that it's going to drop onto this hard ground. Walk out into the water. And there's no need to even touch the fish again. Just let it find its own way out. Job done. There's something I like to do is very quickly get fully prepared for another fish, because it's surprising how quickly another fish can follow. So you've got to get everything back in position as soon as you can, just in case you get another run.
There we go. 20 pound 1 ounce of power pack pike. Always not the draw cords on these, because I've had them escape from the end, so I just use the zip to get it in and out both ends as well. Just check there's no traces down it, because it looks a bit thin. Yeah, that looks okay. You should be able to get quite close with that. Had the run just before dawn, I'd had 4 baits out all night. Well, with the thin fish, quite often you find other people's traces down its throat. Somebody's left unattended rods, or traces too short, and it just gets bitten off. Seals off the poor old pike's throat and it starves to death. I take a few other people's traces out of fish every winter. Well, I'll put him in the sling to take him back to the water so I don't drop it.
Why do you put them in the sling, Nick?
So I don't drop it. After they've been in a tube for a while, they do get very lively and it's quite easy for it to slip through your hands and you drop it, which does it a power of no good. Right, okay, I put it in the sling so I don't drop it, because it is quite a lively fish after being in the tube. There's no chance of that one wriggling free now and me dropping it.